Video. Today we'll be talking about Chapter 11, Lesson 1, Measuring with a Ruler. Okay, let's get started. Just view the page with me. We will be talking about length. Length is a measurement of distance between 2 points. You can use a ruler to measure the length of objects to the nearest half inch or quarter inch. So you should have a ruler or a measuring tape. If you have one of these at home, you can go ahead and pause the video and go get one now, or you can simply look at the page that we have here, and on the right side you'll notice a little ruler that has up to 3 inches. Okay, I don't know why mine is not showing it right now. Okay, so length is a measurement of distance between 2 points. You can use a ruler to measure the length of an object to the nearest half inch or quarter inch. Okay, so today, let me zoom in a little bit more. Let's look at this. We will be measuring in inches. This is how large an inch is. In half an inch. Half inch is 1 inch divided into 2 pieces. That's why we have 2 as our denominator of the fraction. And we will also be looking at quarter inches. Quarter inches is 1 inch divided into 4 pieces. That's why we have 4 at the bottom. Okay, I'm going to open up my camera here, and I'd like you to look at my ruler. If we look at a ruler here, the ruler doesn't start all the way at the edge. I mean, the ruler does start at the edge, but the measuring does not start all the way at the edge. It starts at the very first line, okay? So we have inches here. We have 1 inch, 2 inches, and 3 inches. The next way we're going to measure is using half inches. So we are going to go from 0 to a half inch, 1 to another half inch, 2 and a half inch, and 3. So really this is, each inch is divided into 2 portions. Notice here that I have a half inch. This was just to show you that it's divided into 2 sections, but the way that we would read this is half an inch, 1, 1.5 inch, 2, 2.5 inches, 3 inches. Okay? Let's move on to the next section. The next section is we are partitioning the inches into fourths. So we have 1 1/4, and then comes the half. This half is really 2/4. Remember that 1/2 and 2/4 are the same thing. Okay? So we have 1 1/4, then the half or 2/4, 3/4, and 1 inch. This is 1 4 inches, 1.5 inch or 1 2/4 inches, 1 3/4 inches, and 2. Here's another fourth, half or 2/4, 3/4, and 3. So this would be read 2, 2 1/4, 2 1/2, or 2 2/4, 2 3/4, and 3. Okay, so let's go back to our math page here. So we are going to measure a button today. We're going to measure the width of a button. That's the widest part. The width of the button in length is from the widest part of the button. Find the width of the button to the nearest half inch and quarter inch. So it's asking us 2 questions here. It's asking us to measure up to the half inch mark and then up to the quarter inch mark. Now when we're measuring, we don't always get an exact or very precise reading. It depends on how we want to measure. Are we measuring in halves or are we measuring in fourths? So let me go ahead and proceed so you can see exactly what I mean. So if we're going to find the half inch mark that is closest to the end of the button, we're going to start at the 0 section to measure, and then we're going to draw an imaginary line to the ruler on the right side of the button. If we look at the button here, we're looking in half inches. So as I showed you earlier, we have 1 inch, 1.5 inch, and then it goes to 2 inches. Now we need to decide where the button lies, if it's closer to that, which half inch mark. Is it closer to 1.5 inches or is it closer to 2 inches? Here, this button is closer to 1.5 inches in length. Okay? Now we're going to repeat this step for 1/4 inches. So let's look at our 1/4 inches. We have 1.5, 1 3/4, and 2. Okay, so 1, 1.25, 1.5, 1 3/4, and 2. We're going to go back to our imaginary line. Is this line closer to 1.5, 1 3/4, or 2 inches? It's closer to 1 3/4. So let me scroll over here. I'm going to turn our answers on for you right now, and you'll see how it should look. To the nearest 1/2 inch, the button is 1.5 inches wide. To the nearest 1/4 inch, it is 1 3/4 inches wide. All right? So if you have any questions, you can pause the video, you can go back, and you can also go back to your book online through LMS, through Schoology, and watch the videos, okay? So let's go to the next page. We're going to page 802. Ooh, okay, let me shrink this up for you. Alrighty. Let's look at page 802. Find the length of a paper clip to the nearest 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch. So it's asking us two things again, 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch. We're going to place the ruler against the edge of the object and line up the 0 on the ruler with the end of the object. So I'm going to open up my document camera again, and I'm going to get a large paper clip. Not one of the smaller ones, but the larger one. And I'm going to look at my ruler here. And my instructions are telling me to place the ruler against one edge of the object. So here's my object, which is the paper clip. And I'm going to put my paper clip closest to the edge, just like they did on our book. Here's 0 right here. Let me line it up well. And then I'm going to make another line right here. Okay. So, to the nearest 1/2 inch, I know that I have 0, 1/2 inch, 1, 1.5 inches, and 2. Is my paper clip closer to 1.5 inches or to 2 inches? I believe that it is closer to 2 inches. Okay. So the next part is asking us to the nearest 1/4 inch. Let's see. So now I'm going to look. I have 1, 1 1/4 inch, 1, 1, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, 1 inch, 1 1/4, 1 1/2, 1 3/4, or 2 inches. All right, let's see. 3/4 right here. Is it closer to 3/4 or closer to 2? It is closer to 1 3/4 inches. This gives us a more precise measurement. Okay, it's not the exact measurement, but it's a more precise measurement. Let's go back to our page 802 and let's talk about it. Explain how you can tell the difference between the 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch marks when measuring an object with a ruler. Well, if I go back and I look at my ruler, I can see that that 1/2 inch line is halfway between the inches. So I have 0, 1, 2, and 3. And the 1/2 inch mark is right here. It's halfway between the 0 and the 1. This 1/2 inch mark is halfway between the 1 and the 2. And this 1/2 inch mark is halfway between the 2 and the 3. Those are the 1/2 inch marks. The 1/4 inch mark divides each inch into fourths. So this 1/4 inch, there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. This inch is divided into 4 sections, just like up here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And same thing, 1 1/4, 1 2/4, 1 3/4, and 2. 2 1/4 inch, 2 1/2 inch, which is also 2/4 inches, 2 3/4 inches, and 3. You can just see that example up here at the top. So let's move on to number 2. Will you ever have the same answer when measuring to the nearest half inch and measuring to the nearest quarter inch? Well, yes, of course you will. So if we look up here again at my quarter inches, and it's asking me about half inches, right? This half inch is the same thing as 2 quarter inches. So, for example, 1/2 is the same thing as 2/4, right? So let's look at this one. 1 1/2 is the same thing as 1 2/4. So yes, you can have the same answer. The answer that we would most likely see would be to the half inch because it is the simplified version of the 2/4 or 1 1/2, and that's 2/4, 1 2/4 simplified. Okay. Let's go back to number 3 here. Circle the more precise measurement of the button in the first activity. Well, we know it was closer to 1 3/4 inches. All right. So let's move on to the practice section. Oh, that wasn't good. All right. Let me see if I can get back there. I think I have to zoom out. All right. Here we go. Practice it. Measure the length of each to the nearest half inch and quarter inch. So if you do not have a ruler at home, what you can do is look at your, let me zoom out even more. Let's see here. Okay. You can look at this section to the right, and we have some instructions that say cut and use this inch ruler. Of course, you cannot cut it out. It's on your Chromebook, but you can measure a piece of paper to that same size and place your markings: 0, a quarter inch, a half inch, 3/4 inch, 1 inch, 1 1/4, 1 1/2, 1 3/4, 2 inches, 2 1/4, 2 1/2, 2 3/4, and 3 inches long. Okay? So then you will go to this page with your piece of paper and you will measure the peanut. Measure the length of each to the nearest half inch and quarter inch. So this one would be, I'm just going to give you the answer, 1 1/2 inches long. It will also be 1 3/4 inches long. It's a little bit closer. So you'll have to use one of those little rulers to find your answers for numbers 4 and 5. You can find a book at your house, measure the width of a book, the length of a pencil, a calculator, and a tape dispenser. If you don't have any of these items at home, you can kind of just guess. We'll use an estimation. And here you are to draw a line segment online. Okay? Let's go to the next page. You're going to go ahead and work on the word problems here. You move this over so you can see a little better. The length of a remote controlled car. We have 1/8 of an inch and 1/4 of an inch. You'll have to read a little bit better, but we're going to talk about which is more precise. Precise means a closer answer, a more accurate or exact answer. Okay? Be precise. Which answer is closer to the actual length? Is it going to be 1/4 inches or is it going to be 1/2 inches? And here, find the error that the person made, and then you'll write about it. Make sure you answer incomplete sentences. Then you'll have the homework section. And you're going to do the same thing, the same measuring, and you can use this model for the actual length of the object. And then you will go on to drawing the line segments, drawing the line segments, using the vocabulary, and a few more word problems. Okay? So, if you need to at home, you can use a ruler, like I said earlier, a tape measure, and some paper and pencil to help you out. Turn in your work when you are done, you will submit it to me, and oh, look, there we go. I hope you guys are doing well. Take care.